Welcome back to another segment of All-Star AD on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's All-Star guest, but first we want to thank our podcast partners, We Coach, the Florida Coaches Coalition, and the Global Community of Women in High School Sports. These are three great organizations that you should be a part of. So check out the Global Community of Women in High School Sports, We Coach, and the Florida Coaches Coalition. And now, let's have a quick word from our podcast sponsors. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. The Wall of Fame is an interactive touchscreen video console that highlights your school's top performers, both past and present, in athletics, academics, and the arts. But it's so much more than that. The Wall of Fame is an extensive content program that helps you tell more compelling stories that will better engage your audience. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and check out their products. And then when you're ready to buy, use the link vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake and get 5% off. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake. Check them out today. We also want to thank Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and start creating custom branded content for your school's social media channel. It's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com and tell them you heard about it on the podcast. Use our code ADPOD10 and you'll get 10% off. Start creating world-class marketing content at Gipper.com. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise and at Snap, part of the Snap Mobile family. Go to snapraise.com and check out all of the platforms that Snap Mobile has put together for you as an athletic director, including Snap Store, Snap Manage, Snap Connect, and of course, Snap Raise, their fundraising platform that's helped schools just like yours raise over $700 million. They even allow you to get your money before you actually start your fundraiser. I don't think anybody else does that. Go to snapraise.com and get started today. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo, and see their tables and their boards in action. They not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com, one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to set up and sell tickets for all your events, not just athletic events, but school plays, school concerts, dances, even graduation. They'll show you how to scan your attendees and collect your revenue, and every step of the way, Hometown's going to provide you with a dedicated client success manager that's providing hands-on support. That's every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com and get started. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. Huddle is going to provide your coaches, your teams, your athletes with the tools they need to play at the highest level. Huddle is going to provide a complete solution at a professional grade level for the challenges that you face as an athletic director. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 6 million users and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms. Final Forms is going to help your stakeholders, your coaches, and you as an athletic director. For your stakeholders, they're going to help with all of the forms that you have when an athlete is in your house. For coaches, they're going to help with attendance and communication. And for athletic directors, Final Forms will help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. You know, it's time that you talk to someone who's walked in your shoes. To take those next steps, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with Final Forms. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletics directors typically only hear from that 2%, those disgruntled parents or frustrated student athlete. And we need to hear from that 2% to help make our programs better. But we also need to hear from the 98% that love and support our program. And that's where Athletic Surveys comes in. They're going to create a custom survey for your department and lets you take the pulse of your student athletes and your parents. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the All-Star AD on the Educational AD Podcast. This is our series where we feature 10 great women athletic directors who share their unique perspective on some of the challenges that athletic directors face every day. Back for her second segment is good friend Pam Cawley. Pam's a certified athletic administrator, and she is the director of athletics at Foundation Christian right here in Florida in Valrico, just a little bit east of Tampa. Pam, welcome back. Hope you're having a great spring. And what do you have for our listeners today on All-Star AD?
Thank you, Jake. My topic for today is organization. It seems simple, but without it, the job is nearly impossible. Between schedules and invoices and budgets, uniform inventory, rosters, deadlines, meetings, coaches, evaluations, transportation, the list goes on and on, right? So it's so important to be organized. I lived through the Checklist Manifesto. This is a book that my principal actually gave me a couple of years ago. But living through checklists, if you have someone covering your game duties, do they know what to do? Do you have a checklist for them to follow? It helps keep you better organized. And it also, like I said, if you ever have to pass off any part of your job to anybody else, if you're lucky enough to get an assistant AD or a secretary, you need to have checklists to be able to say, hey, this is what we do. This is how we follow it. And a good reason to have all of this is so there's consistency across the board. So from sport to sport, for us, it's kindergarten through 12th grade participating in sports. And it's the same from the time that they start cross country in kindergarten all the way through their senior year when they're playing baseball. It's all the same. So having those checklists, having it organized is going to make it easier, and it's going to make it seamless. And so it helps when you pass it off to somebody else. If you have another administrator, if you have to leave for any reason and you're like, hey, I have an emergency, I have to go. Do you have a checklist for them to follow? Create those checklists. It takes a little bit of time to set things up to begin with, but it makes so much difference when it's there, because then you can just pass it off to somebody else. This is what you need to do. Done. And then all their questions are answered. You know that there's going to be water jugs down at the field. You know that the PA system's going to be turned on in the gym. You know, all the things are going to be done without having to stress about it when you're off campus for whatever reason. Or if you're coaching and you have your assistant or your secretary or whoever it is coming in and doing those jobs for you. Or even if it's uniform inventory, you're like, hey, I want you, coach, you are now in charge of uniform inventory. You need to have a checklist. How do they do it? Right. So setting those things up to begin with, so easy. I have a checklist for the coaches' duties. Have they turned in their CPR certification? Have they turned in their rosters with their jersey numbers? Because when you're doing that uniform inventory, you need to know who didn't turn in their jersey, because you need to know their roster numbers. So having checklists for the coaches, did they turn in their medical bag at the end of the season? Do they have their tax forms on file in the office? Do we have the background checks on them, their fingerprinting done? All of those checklists, if you have it on a checklist instead of just trying to keep it up in your brain, is really going to help, because there's so many things. We're spinning so many plates. There's already so much taking up our headspace that the more you can get out of there, the easier it's going to make your job. I promise. I did not do checklists my first couple of years, and it was stressful. Oh man. But the more things that I get on checklists, the easier it becomes. In my position, I'm an athletic department of one. I don't have a secretary. I don't have an assistant. I don't have any of that. So all job responsibilities fall on me. Being organized is the only way I manage all of these moving parts. I know everyone's super busy. We have so many sports. We have so many things going on. So keeping it all organized is key. Using all of those tech tools that I know Jake and so many other ADs talk about, it's huge. I use Band with all of my athletes, and they love it so much, and my coaches love it so much that our fine arts department started using the Band app as well. They love it. So because we started it and we were using it, they used it too. I use Sign Up Genius for all my volunteers. So all of that's there, right? Find the tools that are going to make your job easier. It's not the same for everybody. It's not the same for every school, but what you love, get into it, use those apps. It's going to help. It's going to take a little bit of time at the beginning to set it up, but once it's in place, it's beautiful. Like I said earlier, having the same platform, K through 12, between all sports, all seasons, all everything. So a parent knows, from fall, spring, winter sports, this is how it's done at Foundation Christian. We communicate through the Band app. We sign up to volunteer through Sign Up Genius. It's all right there. It definitely helps. I have to run things very diligently through time management because I have very little bit of time. I also teach 2 classes and I serve on the administration board. So, I mean, some people think I'm crazy, but I make every Thursday is our home game for basketball. Every week, our home night is Thursday for volleyball. And you're like, why are you such a stickler for that? Because if I'm not organized and I don't have it set up in an exact way, it feels like chaos in my brain and I can't do that. That's just my personal thing. You might have something else that works better for you. But for me, I know Thursday is our home night for basketball and volleyball. Friday is our home night for football every other week. And it works because it has to be organized. Schedules organized, transportation organized, everything ahead of time. It makes having all of it organized ahead of time, it's going to make you look better. It's going to make it easier for your administrators. So they're going to love you. It's going to make it easier on the volunteers, on scheduling, all of that. And then the families are going to know what to expect. So it sounds like something so simple, but organization, get it done, use those apps, make checklists. That's my tip.
And again, you talked about being a department of one.
Yes.
Even when you are blessed with that assistant AD and that administrative assistant and all those other pieces, at the bottom line, you still have to have that organizational
for sure.
base. You made the comment, and again, Pam, I know you do a great job. You talked about it'll make you look good. The opposite is also true. Okay,
yes.
You can have all these bells and whistles as an athletic department, but if the team gets there late, or the referees don't show up, or something that goes back to organization, nothing makes you and your school and your department, come back, you look worse than not being organized. So
right, they're like, this is your job. Why is this wrong?
Exactly.
You should be doing this.
Great stuff. And again, talking about how you operate, using different apps and pieces of technology, great addition to that. If one of our listeners wanted more, if they wanted to reach out and pick Pam Cawley's brain, what's the best way they can do that?
My email is the best way to get a hold of me. It is pcawley, CAWLEY, at foundationchristianacademy.org.
Pam, always great to hang out with you and catch up. All the best as we continue to I guess move towards the playoffs in spring sports, and we'll see you next time. And for our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We do this just about every week. The videos get uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening. Pam, I didn't give you a chance to say thanks. Pam, thanks for being on.
Thank you, Jake.
And for our listeners, we'll see you next time on All-Star AD. More great stuff from Pam Cawley. Before we leave, we want to give our sponsors a shout out one more time. Huddle, go to huddle.com. Let them share their tools with you, your coaches, and your athletes. Turn your school into a huddle school. Huddle.com. We want to say thanks to Gipper. It's all about marketing and branding your school, your teams, your student athletes, and Gipper's going to help you do that. Use our podcast code ADPOD10 and you'll get 10% off. Go to Gipper.com and get started today. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. I don't have to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. We want to say thanks to Final Forms. Final Forms is going to help you have your best seasons ever. They're going to help your stakeholders. They're going to help your coaches. And they're going to help you as an athletic director. Go to finalforms.com/Jake to get started. Finalforms.com/Jake. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Their interactive touchscreen video consoles are going to help you tell the story of your school, bring your school's legacy to life. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. And when you're ready to buy, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake. You'll get 5% off. We want to thank Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their entire suite of platforms, including their fundraising platform. That's snapraise.com. Athleticsurveys.com is going to create a custom survey for your school to let you take the pulse of your student athletes and your parents. If you've never done that, you're missing out on a ton of positive data because research has shown 98% of parents and student athletes really love your programs. So collect that data, be able to use it with your principal, your school board, or that grumpy parent. That's athleticsurveys.com. And finally, sidelineinteractive.com. You've heard me say before, one of the best purchases I ever made was a Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Check out all of their products, schedule a live web demo at sidelineinteractive.com. Thanks again for listening today. Come back next Thursday for another All-Star AD and just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast.